Hi there. Last week was yet another tough week for trans people as we received the news of the Darlington Nurses Employment Tribunal, which ruled that the nurses had been indirectly discriminated against and harassed by County Durham and Darlington NHS Trust by allowing transgender operating theatre practitioner Rose Henderson to get changed in the women's communal changing rooms without providing suitable alternative facilities. Importantly, Rose was cleared of all accusations against her, and only those against the trust were upheld. While many anti-trans campaigners are hailing this as a huge victory, it may not prove to be quite the victory that they think it is, as there is a lot more to consider. Firstly, the judge praised the trust for having a trans-inclusive employment policy, and he confirmed that Rose had done absolutely nothing wrong by changing in the women's changing room. However, the trust fell down was by failing to follow its own policy by not providing adequate private changing rooms, which effectively forced the nurses with anti-trans views to get changed in the same changing room as Rose. Interestingly, Rose had been using that changing room for 4 years without complaint, so I'm unsure why it took the trans hostile nurses so long to make that complaint. Also, when they finally did bring this case, they were supported by the anti-LGBTQA+ and anti-abortion campaign group Christian Concern. I'm just glad that I don't live in Darlington, as I would be petrified of being treated by one of those trans-hostile nurses if I had to go into hospital. Ever since the Supreme Court ruling on the 16th of April 2025 defining the meaning of sex and woman within the Equality Act 2010, the law has been a complete mess. And their ruling clashes with so many other laws such as the Gender Recognition Act 2004, GDPR and Article 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights. The ruling also clashes with the words in Hansard of the MPs who actually wrote the Equality Act. For all these reasons, I'm sure that the ruling will eventually be overturned. In the meantime, the mess continues and much litigation will follow, as employers and service providers are now at risk of being sued by both gender-critical ideologues for having trans-inclusive policies and also by trans people for being discriminated against for having trans-exclusive policies. We've now had the judgments of 3 employment tribunals and they contradict each other on the face of it. The most recent case of the Darlington Nurses seemingly ruled in favour of trans exclusion, but the other 2 cases of Sandy Peggy versus NHS Fife and Dr. Beth Upton and of Maria Kelly versus Leonardo ruled in favour of trans inclusion. As I said, it's a mess. However, the Darlington Nurses Tribunal did not explicitly recommend segregation of trans people, so employers and service providers should not all race to segregate trans people in their changing rooms and toilets, as that would almost certainly land them in court, unless they can prove that it is a proportionate means to achieve a legitimate aim. All 3 tribunals reinforce that employers must take the concerns and welfare of all their employees and service providers seriously, whether they are transgender or whether they are gender critical. The solution to keeping everyone happy and to keeping employers and service providers out of court is incredibly simple and easy to achieve. All they have to do is to provide adequate, private, non-gendered individual toilets and changing rooms for those who wish to have more privacy. They don't have to have lots of them, as long as they have enough of them to fulfill demand. That's all they need to do. Hopefully it will lead to all such spaces being individual and non-gendered eventually, as let's face it, communal change rooms are not great, are they? I mean, who likes getting their bits out in front of strangers? I certainly don't, even if I am very proud of my shiny new upgraded equipment. It works for trans people and it works for trans hostile people too. It also works for non-binary people and also for anyone who just wants a bit more privacy. So now, can we all just chill our beans and calm down a bit with all the anti-trans hysteria? I have some serious chilling to do.